Maggie here, the PlayStation Underground's new computer-generated host. I'm supposed to introduce each issue, but as you may or may not know, 3D graphics like me are expensive, so I've been told not to waste any time.
Alright, Maggie, they probably already know that, so just tell them what's on this issue.
Chill out, Pushy. I was just introducing myself. Our producer, too many cappuccinos.
I heard that.
Yeah, well, lighten up. Okay, let's get down to it. First up, we got a chance to sit down with some of Sony's heavy hitters, including Ken Kutaragi, Kaz Hirai, and Phil Harrison, to get the exclusive 411 on the product everyone is saving their arcade quarters for, the next generation of PlayStation. Then, I got to rack up the frequent flyer miles and expand my anime collection as we headed over to the land of the rising sun. We got to check out this year's hot new titles at the Tokyo Game Show and spend some quality time with the creators of Star Ocean and Jammer Lammy. That Lammy plays a mean guitar with her riffs and my moves. Talk about your girl power. We also got to spend some time down in sunny Southern California at the video game industry's largest trade show, E3. Check out our evaluators' picks of the show. Well, that's a tiny portion of what we've got crammed into this issue. When you're done trying out the import title, downloading stuff for your memory card, and checking out every nook and cranny of CD1, grab your controller and head over to the vault. The new demos include Final Fantasy VIII, MLB 2000, and Ape Escape, just to name a few. Alright, how was that?
Not bad, can you speed it up?
Sure, how's this? First, I got to rack up the frequent flyer miles and expand my anime collection as we head over to the land of the rising sun. We got to check out this year's...
Hey Buzz, you didn't throw out those CG host resumes, did you?
Star Ocean and Jammer Lammy.
The next PlayStation is coming. As a PlayStation Underground subscriber, you get a front row seat.
Our dream from a business point of view is to grow the market for computer entertainment into a superset of music and movies so that video gaming and computer entertainment becomes a legitimate mass market entertainment.
We formed the new team for the next generation of PlayStation immediately after launching PlayStation. So we started to think about the next architecture for the system in 1995.
The design of the next generation PlayStation was put together to achieve a very singular goal, which was to allow the game player to experience TV quality images and the same level of emotional experience that you would get from watching a great film, reading a great book, or listening to a great piece of music.
How do you do that? I think the key word for the next generation PlayStation is emotion. How do you convey emotion of the game characters?
Realistic facial animation. As you're looking at me now on this camera, you can see that my face moves whilst I talk, and as my mouth moves, that the muscles stretch. And that's what realism is all about, is being able to get the subtlety of movement into the 3D graphics. The new system is going to open up a whole new avenue of creative expression. Today, great games like Gran Turismo and Tekken and Game Day are at the pinnacle of their genre on the current platform. But they use relatively simple technology to create that experience. In the next generation of a driving game, for example, on the new PlayStation, we will be able to simulate thousands of different elements of what makes a car work. The tire physics, the friction, the fact that it's now snowing, the fact that it's now raining, and that these are having a physically accurate impact on the way that the game handles. This allows for a wide variety of gaming experiences to be generated. In the current world of game development, you would use motion capture to establish the animation of a character. But going forward, we can now start to physically and biologically simulate how a human being works. And we can use some very complex algorithms called inverse kinematics and dynamics to simulate the entire physical skeleton of a player. Each player uses 10,000 polygons. To put this in context, Game Day and Madden use about 250 polygons per player. But it's also important to remember that beautiful graphical experiences aren't necessarily generated by millions of polygons, but by the best special effects and the most subtle use of lighting, pixels and texture mapping. It's not all about winning a huge polygonal race, but this is a race of beauty. This demo that we're showing right now shows some real powerful lighting and animation techniques called motion blur. Now this allows us to track the speed at which an object moves, and just like in real life, if I move quickly, there is a persistent blur behind the object. Each one of these firecracker particles is being rendered many times onto the screen. In fact, this demo is being drawn at 60 frames a second, but it's actually being rendered at 600 frames a second. And we can also freeze it like this, just like you see in some TV commercials right now where you can spin the camera around and the object is frozen. Once again, there are tremendous creative possibilities with this. If somebody throws a ball in a baseball game, or a fast-moving car overtakes you, or a laser beam from a weapon. These demos give you just some of the hints of the building blocks of where we can go creatively and entertainment-wise with the new system, and that's what it's all about.
The most aggressive challenge was the semiconductor. So the current chipset utilized about half-micron semiconductor technology. But what we are now challenging is 0.18 very, very high-end semiconductor technologies. It was very, very difficult. Finally, we could develop the nice chipset for CPU. We call it that emotion engine. That contains over 10 million transistors on the chip. That's a little bit bigger than the latest Pentium 3.
We have built the fastest multimedia processor on the planet. What allows us to achieve this performance is by having a very dedicated and single-minded design for the chip. Other chips in the world have to appear in everything from vacuum cleaners to PCs and the desktop. What we designed into the Emotion Engine was the power and performance required specifically for the intensive 3D graphics capabilities and demands of the next generation of software, plus technology like floating point coprocessors and also abilities like the decoding of MPEG-2 video streams from our DVD disc.
By the time we make a product announcement, the technology for modem and modem connectivity may take another leap forward. Once we actually make the product announcement, then we should be able to say what kind of connectivity the PlayStation will actually have. I'd like to see controls that are not necessarily in terms of having more buttons or levers. I think there are enough already, and you only have 10 fingers.
I'm speaking to you now, so why shouldn't the device react to my voice? I should be able to wave at it and do things like this. A video camera could pick up these motions, interpret them, and generate a response on the screen. The next generation PlayStation uses 3 industry standard interfaces as part of the technology. We have IEEE 1394, which is called iLink, used in the next generation of digital video devices like still cameras and video cameras. We can now have digital media in as well as out. Now what I mean by that is being able to put my face or your face into the game. USB, which stands for Universal Serial Bus, allows us to connect to a huge variety of standard peripherals like joysticks and keyboards and mice and a whole bunch of things that haven't even been invented yet. And PCMCIA gives us connectivity to devices like modems, memory devices, even hard drives and other standard computing devices. Well, let's be very clear about this. The next generation PlayStation is designed specifically for high-end in-home entertainment. Now, right now that means video games. We will broaden the definition of what entertainment means over time, but We're not building a PC here.
It's really an interactive entertainment console. The next generation PlayStation is also backward compatible, which means that any PlayStation titles that you have in your current library will also play on the next generation PlayStation. And I think this is the first time in the interactive entertainment industry where a console has done that.
The picture has 100 years history, and the music has over 1,000 years history, but the computer has only 26 and 7 years history.
We're only starting to scratch the surface of the emotion that we can put into games. If somebody was to burst into tears as a result of experiencing a next generation PlayStation game because of the raw power of the emotion that is inside the product and the storytelling, then we've all succeeded in our jobs. We now have the power inside the next generation PlayStation to do things in software that have never ever been done before. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go, and that's what makes it exciting.
The next PlayStation is coming. As a PlayStation Underground subscriber, you get a front row seat.
Our dream from a
The most aggressive challenge was the semiconductor. So the current The picture has 100 years history, and the music has over 1,000 years history, but the computer has only 26 and 7 years history.
We're only starting to scratch the surface of the emotion that we can put into games. If somebody was to burst into tears as a result